Hola, hello everyone, hola amigos y amigas. You are now with Jocelyn, with Jocelyn Valencia, and I am genuinely excited for this video because whoever watches it is going to walk away with 5 books that are a required reading. No, really, like these 5 books that I am about to share with you, I feel pretty comfortable saying that I can guarantee that it will change your life. It changed my life. These books really shifted my perspective on life. Like after reading each of these books, I'll just never see life the same in a good way, in like a really, really good way. These books really just elevated my knowledge, my fountain of mental wealth. That's such a good way to put it. I did another video where I recommended some really, really good reads, and I got a good response from some of the viewers who said that they really, really appreciated the video. So I'm excited to do more of these videos where I am recommending some really, really good books to you all. These books that I'm going to share with you are really essential and really great for your spiritual wellness, mental wellness, some of them even physical wellness for sure, your soul wellness, your multi-dimensional being wellness, okay? You'll definitely finish these books feeling like a more expansive person. So let's dive into it. The first book that I want to start with is Sacred Woman by Queen Afua. I learned about Queen Afua through a spiritual writer that I love called Layla, and there's actually a program behind the context of this book, and I enrolled in that program this year, and again, it honestly changed my life. I definitely feel like this is a required reading for every woman out there. If a man reads this book, I think that will also be so beneficial to the world, because you'll really get to understand just the beautiful essence of femininity and taking care of femininity and balancing and healing the feminine body, mind, and spirit, as Queen Afua wrote here. But honestly, like, this book basically essentially covers the different gateways towards reaching your ascension. So this book has 9 gateways, but I know that it's missing 2 more gateways that are going to be included in the updated version of this book, which I believe is going to come out next spring. Could be wrong. So maybe you want to wait till the new version comes out, but like it'll literally guide you towards your altar work. So if you've been really wanting to get into like building your altar, holding space for your ancestors, this book guides you as to like what your altar should consist of for literally each gateway. It'll come with prayers, and it'll like tell you step by step like what your daily spiritual observances should be. In the program, we are walking through each of these gateways every week. So it's a 12-week program, and each week we focus on a gateway. But I'm not here to promote the program, though I completely recommend it for every woman out there. But this book is just so, like, I'm honestly just so impressed and in awe of Queen Afua and her wealth of knowledge and just how much she knows about mental, spiritual, physical, holistic well-being. So this book is, if you're looking to transition into holistic wellness, a holistic lifestyle, if you want to step into your spirituality or step up your spirituality, this book is amazing for you. If you are a woman who feels like you need some real healing, emotional healing, this book is for you. Okay. The next book that I want to share with you is the book that I'm actually currently reading right now. So I haven't finished it, but what I read so far I've already learned so much. I just got done reading and learning about the different brainwave frequencies, and just how essential learning about these frequencies is in order to really be in the present moment and also recreate your physical reality. So Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza is a book that I've been wanting to read for a long time, and it just like kept coming up for me in the past few months. So I took that as a sign, bought the book, and he describes it here, how common people are doing the uncommon. So this is basically guiding you to tap into your supernatural abilities, the supernatural abilities that every human has access to, but we've just really fallen asleep and lost sight of just how powerful we are and how powerful our minds are. So if you want to learn about just how powerful your mind is and what you can do with it and how you can shift it and how you can become, and like how you can turn in, not become because you already are, but how you can tap into your supernatural capabilities, this book is for you. This next book that I want to share with you, I believe I had included in my last video, but it is a book that I am going to be revisiting probably once a year. The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukov. This book is so good, like so good. It really covers a lot about your intuition, about karma, your evolution, psychology, the power within you. It's similar, I would say it's similar to Becoming Supernatural, but Becoming Supernatural definitely has a lot more scientific examples than The Seat of the Soul. The Seat of the Soul is more of like, they're both inspiring reads, but this is just, this one is probably more digestible for those of you who don't really like to or have no interest in like looking at graphs like this, you know. This book is just, it's just so inspiring. And I actually read this book, or I finished this book because I started it at the end of last year and I finished it at the very beginning of this year. And I had, you know, one of my very, very best friends transition and pass away on January 2nd. And I'm so grateful that at the same time, I was reading this book, because this book really helped me understand life after death. It honestly helped me cope with the death of my best friend. It helped me process my emotions in a very healthy way. So I'm so grateful for the timing of which I read this book, and I'm just so grateful for this book in general. I highly recommend all of these books, but this book is it's so good. It's so good. Let's see if I can find an excerpt really quick. Maybe I should just, because I underline like in all of my books. Let's see. The five sensory human must learn primarily through his or her physical experiences, and this learning takes longer because lessons that are learned in this way must come through the density of physical matter. So the way that Gary breaks this down is through the five senses, of which we're all familiar with, right? Like, most of us live this life with the perspective that we are five sensory human beings, when in fact we're beyond the five senses that we are aware of. So what he was explaining here was that those of us, which is most of us, who have that perspective of being five sensory humans, we must learn primarily through what we experience in our physical reality, because that is where our five sensory perspective limits us. It limits us to only having the perspective of the physical reality, the three-dimensional reality that we see in front of us. And I quote here, this learning, this perspective takes longer because lessons that are learned in this way must come through the density of physical matter. And there are the density of our physical reality that is in front of us is a lot heavier and is more dense than the other dimensions, the 5D, the 4D, the 5D, that exists, and we can't see it, and it's kind of hard to tap into that when we're restricted to being five sensory humans. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but if you read this book, it'll definitely make sense, but hopefully that little excerpt kind of gave you an idea of what this book is about. But it's really about your soul, right? It's like, it's really, really tapping into your soul. So if you want to tap into your soul, which is beyond the five sensory perspective, then definitely read this book. It's really, really good for your soul. Whoo! This book is literally like my Bible. If I was on the run and I had to grab like 5 things from my home and it was had to be quick and I could only bring one book with me, honestly, I think it would be this book right here, The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. Don Miguel, I think, is most popularly known through his book, The Four Agreements, which is also a really, really great read. But honestly, I love and appreciate The Mastery of Love more than I do The Four Agreements. And I do have the Four Agreements book, but this book, The Mastery of Love, just like really is such, and I could read this book in one sitting. And I refer back to it often whenever I feel like I'm struggling with a relationship in my life, whenever I feel like I have lost touch of what true love is, whenever I feel like I need to be reminded of what the essence of unconditional love is, whenever I feel like becoming recentered with what a healthy love looks like, this is the book. Sirens. This book, if you really want to become aware of what a healthy love is, what healthy relationships look like and feel like and consist of, this is the book for you. This is literally the top tier book of love. I would say so myself. Whew, okay, this last 5th book I read at the beginning of this year. The fact that I read this book at the start of quarantine, in the midst of all the traumatic occurrences that were happening all at once in this world and in this country, I deserve an award, because oh my goodness, I highly recommend this book. But when I recommend it to people, I let them know that there's definitely trigger warnings to be expressed, because I was so triggered throughout this book, specifically about sexual abuse and the impacts of that, and just the impacts of trauma and traumatic experiences in general. But The Body Keeps Score by Bessel van der Kolk. Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma. Essentially, Bessel van der Kolk does an incredible job. And honestly, like, as I read this book and I was like, he was sharing like all the research that he did with his team in regards to how trauma affects our body and affects our brains and just our chemical balance, really is astonishing. They have done so much work to be able to provide us this book, and I honestly wish that I can align with him just to thank him for this book and for his research and for his efforts, because wow. There's just, it is a dense book. There is, just like Becoming Supernatural, there is a lot of scientific evidence throughout the book, things that, at least for myself, kind of take time to process. So it took me a few months to finish this book, but it definitely changed my life, and I'm excited to revisit it when I'm ready. Let's see if I'm gonna flip to a page and read you something I underlined. Okay, didn't underline anything there. Okay. Recovery from trauma involves reconnecting with our fellow human beings. This is why trauma has occurred within relationships. This is why that has occurred within relationships. This is why trauma that has occurred. I don't know why I had trouble reading that right now. This is why trauma that has occurred within relationships is generally more difficult to treat than trauma resulting from traffic accidents or natural disasters. If the people whom you naturally turn to for care and protection terrify or reject you, you learn to shut down and to ignore what you feel. Like, even just that, it's like right in your face, right? It's really such a good book. So if you want to understand how trauma may have affected you personally or someone you know, or just people in general, like you're curious to learn more about that, this book is definitely the #1 book for that. And it's really a good read. As difficult as it may have been for me, and as much as it may have not been the easiest book to digest, it's an incredible book. I learned so much, and this book was honestly has had a huge hand in me delving further into understanding why humans are the way that they are. So I am really grateful for this book, and I really appreciate every scientist and researcher that took part in all the studies that are mentioned in this book. Now, those are the 5 books that I highly recommend to you. Highly recommend to you. And I also just wanted to share 2 other books that are somewhat in the same genres as these books, but I haven't read them yet, but I am excited to get to them. So I figured, why not share with you my next 2 books that I'll be reading. This one is It Didn't Start With You by Mark Wolin. How Inherited Family Trauma Shapes Who We Are and How to End the Cycle. Again, the Body Keep Score definitely had a hand in me reaching out to read and feeling called to read more books like this. But I'm really excited about this because I've just been so committed to my healing and committed to understanding why people are the way that they are, and be able to come not only from a place of being empathic and come from a place where I can relate, but also be able to understand, be able to have the actual knowledge and deeper awareness of how trauma and difficult life experiences shapes us, and how we can overcome that, how we can heal, and how we can end these cycles that don't serve us. So really committed to that, and I'm just so excited to be delving more into books like this. So I'm excited for this book, and I'm also excited for The Power of Now, A Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment by Eckhart Tolle. I'm sure you've stumbled, seen, came across this book. It's a very popular book. I've never gotten around to actually reading it and buying it. And again, this is one of those books that just kept coming up for me, and so I was like, I took it as a sign. I'm like, I think it's time I read this book. So if you can kind of notice, I'm like on these 2 tips of like spirituality and really getting down and dirty with the trauma and all that mental health stuff. But I'm really loving balancing these two kind of lanes and these 2 genres of spirituality and enlightenment, along with scientific research and more how would you call it, like textbook style, like classroom style kind of books, I guess. I know there's a word for that, but it's not coming up for me. So yes, these are the books that I highly recommend. I mean, these 2 I can't necessarily recommend yet because I haven't read them or started to read them, but I heard they're very good. But these books, if you are looking to enrich your bookshelf, if you are looking to delve more into spiritual enlightenment, into multidimensional awareness, into mental health, these books are amazing. So I hope that you find this video valuable. I'm really excited to share these books with you, to share more books with you. I have I don't know if you can see it, but I have a bookshelf right over here that's full of great books. I'm really looking forward to the day where I have like a whole library in my home. I love books so much, and I really held space for reading this year, and I'm grateful that I have access to books, and I'm grateful that I'm able to read books, and I'm grateful that I can be someone who recommends books to you. So if you buy any of these, if you've read any of these already, tell me what you felt about these books. And if you buy one, let me know in the comments below. I would love to just have a conversation with you. So if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe, like, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Share this video with any of your friends or loved ones that you feel may benefit from these book recommendations. Okay, wealth, knowledge is wealth, okay? Knowledge is wealth. All right, bye.